This is Fox 19 Now.
So the holiday weekend is upon us as many prepare to hit the road and spend the 4th of July out of town. If that applies to you, you're definitely not alone. However, fellow travelers won't be the only other folks you'll encounter on the roadways. Ohio State Highway Patrol officers will be out in full force to keep this holiday a safe one. Our Ben Gacko joining us live tonight with what you'll see while you are traveling. Ben?
Scott, first things first, you'll definitely see more than police out on the roadways this weekend. You know those signs overhead when you're on the highway that tell you how long it's going to take to get from point A to point B? That's not the only thing that you're going to see you'll see on them anymore, at least through the weekend. You'll see some eye-opening messages that are a stark reminder to take it easy. By this time tomorrow night, millions will be nestled with family and friends, capping another 4th of July holiday under a sparkling night sky.
1.7 million people are taking a journey 50 miles or more from home.
That's just in Ohio alone. AAA projects almost 1/3 of Americans will travel to celebrate the holiday away from home.
The numbers that we're projecting are the highest 4th of July travel weekend numbers since we've been tracking the data.
That's exactly why state troopers are making sure you won't miss them on your holiday journey.
We're always looking for aggressive driving, any kind of speeds, any kind of following too close. We want to make sure people are wearing their seatbelts, not consuming alcohol, and getting behind the wheel and driving their car.
Right now, traffic deaths are up 18% in Ohio. So far this year, 496 people have died on the roads. State leaders don't want you to forget it either. More than 100 of these electronic signs statewide will hammer home that message.
People are going to see those when they're driving. That's going to be another reminder to the driver that the fatality crashes are up.
The signs will rotate between crash statistics and safety messages. Traffic deaths in May were the worst the state has seen in a decade, and fatal accidents involving alcohol tripled.
We're prepared for whatever happens, and we are going to be out in full force this weekend. Now, over the weekends, those signs will have those messages 24 hours a day. During weekdays, the messages will only be up overnight for what's being called right now a trial period. We're live tonight. Ben Katko, Fox 19 Now.
All right, Ben, thank you. The Cincinnati Reds responding to the charges against assistant hitting coach Lee Tinsley following his OVI arrest yesterday morning. Fox 19 Now sports anchor Jeremy Rao in studio with details. Jeremy?
Hey, Scott, the Reds are taking this very seriously. In fact, before Brian Price met with the media this afternoon, he kindly requested that we wait to roll video before delivering a very simple message about the Reds' stance on Lee Tinsley. To quote Brian Price, the organization is still in the fact-finding stage. Now, Brian Price went on to say that Tinsley, the Reds' assistant hitting coach, has been placed on administrative leave. And what that means is Tinsley will not participate in any team activities until they know more about the situation when the police report comes out after the holiday weekend. At this time, the Reds said they have no replacement in line for Tinsley. He is in his second season with the team after spending 5 seasons with Arizona and Seattle. And coming up in the final quarter at 10:45, highlights from the Reds and Brewers. And get this, Pete Rose sounds off on allegations that he bet on the Reds while playing. That's at 10:45.
Well, outside we go, a live look. Can we see the fireworks? We can hear them happening right now in Florence. Can you hear that? There we go. And Jeff, are we looking at a good night for the rest of that show?
For the most part, I think the rest of the show is going to go off fine. I have seen a few sprinkles develop in portions of Claremont County, and we've still got some rain down towards Maysville. But aside from that, things outside right now very pleasant. 70 right now on the JakeSweeney.com Kia Cam along Burlington Pike down in Florence. And you can see sort of getting some clearer skies out there, even the moon visible. So we'll see some clearing skies as we go overnight into tomorrow morning. Satellite and radar right there. Yeah, a couple of showers around Amelia in through Moscow out towards Williamsburg. But other than that, the only rain we've really got to talk about down towards Maysville, and that's actually moving out. Temperatures right now upper 60s to right around 70, 67 in Blanchester, 67 in Coleraine, 66 this hour in Greensburg. Into tomorrow morning, we'll see temperatures down to about 63 by 7 o'clock in the morning, into the low 80s tomorrow afternoon. I have us dry tomorrow. In fact, the weekend looking dry. Pretty nice looking weekend. We'll talk about that and your upcoming 7 days all ahead. Scott?
Thank you, sir. Well, police now on the lookout for a second suspect wanted in the shooting death of a man in South Cumminsville. Valentino Pettis should be considered both armed and dangerous. A warrant now issued for his arrest. He is believed to have been one of 3 suspects who shot and killed Navy veteran Suleiman Murtagh as he was walking home from White Castle on Elmore Street. Also facing murder charges in this case, 14-year-old Javon Coulter. He was arrested at his home this morning, and despite their grief, the victim's loved ones displaying remarkable compassion for his alleged killer, telling us all they want at this point are answers.
This is a 14-year-old boy. He's a boy still. He has thrown his life away for no good reason. And my brother would be equally as upset that this is somebody so young who had potential and now has nothing.
The fact that this happened to Suleiman, who was the antithesis of violence, it didn't make any sense. And so we knew it had to be something that was random. It had to be something that it wasn't targeted, because if you knew him, you knew that's not his lifestyle.
Javon Coulter is expected to be arraigned at the Hamilton County Courthouse come Monday. However, until then, police hope to have the other 2 suspects in custody, and they do need your help to do that. Unfortunately, teens and murder becoming all too common in this area. So what's going on in the streets? Is there anything that the community can do about it? Fox 19 Now's Michael Baldwin joining us in studio tonight. Michael, you spoke to community leaders.
Well, some of the folks we talked with said it all starts at home. They said it's the breakdown of the family which has some of our youth seeking a new family, a family they think understands them better than mom or dad. That's life in the streets. State Senator Cecil Thomas would love to sweep away the community's problems with young people and violence. But he knows right now that's just dust in the wind. As you've heard, police arrested a kid, just 14, Javon Coulter, now being held on murder charges. They're still searching for 2 of his friends. In Avondale, a 16-year-old just a few weeks ago arrested for the murder of a 19-year-old. It's been reported they may have been arguing over a cell phone. In May, a 16-year-old charged with murder in Westwood. Thomas, a former city cop, gives some perspective.
Oftentimes when you have that age group, when you see a significant increase in crime in that age group, violent crime in particular, oftentimes those are usually robberies. Individuals very young want certain things.
He told me some teens will turn to the streets because their parents have given up on them, and some will meet a drug dealer and make a deal with the devil.
Drug dealer, rather than put himself in the position of going to the penitentiary, which would require basically a long time if he got caught.
Nick Higgins runs a group called Our City, Our Problem. He feels the community is pointing fingers in the wrong direction.
This group started with me. One day I was sitting at home watching the news and I saw that everybody was blaming the police for the violence that's going on. It's not completely their problem. This is our community, these are our problems. We see more than the police do.
Pastor Elmer Brown.
The old African saying is, it takes a village to raise a child. Maybe it takes 2 villages now.
All of the gentlemen feel the first step is to make the home life better for kids. But with the pressures of life, they know that's easier said than done. We're live in the studio, Michael Baldwin, Fox 19 now.
Michael, thank you. Police have a person of interest in a stabbing that left 1 man dead and 4 children injured, one of them just 2 years old. You are now being asked to be on the lookout for an African-American male with cuts or gashes believed to be behind the attack at the Willows of Springdale Apartments off Chesterdale Drive early Thursday morning. Evidence at that scene leads investigators to believe the man was cut during the altercation, which claimed the life of Emilio Ramirez.
We have increased our patrols, and we certainly, anytime, regardless of where it is in our city, we do tailor and try to, make sure that we have our resources properly deployed. It's very understandable that people would be on edge with a crime like this. Certainly this is not something that we see happen in Springdale typically, and really it doesn't happen that often anywhere.
Captain Thomas Wells says that his department, along with the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation, are looking into this brutal crime. He tells us the one thing that makes this crime more difficult than usual is the attack on the kids. The good news, all are expected to survive. They have been taken to Children's, where they are being treated for their injuries. 3 people, including a Hamilton County Sheriff's deputy, recovering tonight after a violent collision in South Fairmont. Happened around 11 this morning as the deputy, who we are told is an undercover drug unit officer, was heading to help another officer nearby. The accident was caught on surveillance. Investigators say the deputy driving along Quebec Road when a car turned right in front of him. He was not flashing lights or sounding sirens as he drove, but they do tell us they do believe he was driving with caution.
As our vehicle was traveling westbound, the operator of the other vehicle makes a U-turn into the path of the sheriff's vehicle.
He wasn't in pursuit or anything. He was just driving up normal, and that guy turned right in front of him. He had no choice.
Now, the deputy's injuries are minor. The other driver was alert following that accident, according to police. The passenger in the car also suffering minor injuries. No word yet on any citations. Those 13 people arrested on drug charges during that massive sweep in Claremont County, all appearing before a judge. It was the result of a 5-month-long investigation in the village of Felicity after several complaints about drug trafficking in that area. A vast majority of the charges are for heroin. Many residents say they are very happy to see their community being cleaned up. It is, of course, a weekend of celebration for all Americans, but for some, it can also trigger something else. More on the impact tomorrow that it may have on folks who deserve to be celebrated the most. And an unexpected reunion in the most unexpected of places. Watch as a judge recognizes a childhood friend on the other side of the law. These stories and more next.
And for the most part, a quiet evening. Well, weather-wise, we have quite a few fireworks displays going on out there. And unless you live in a very small portion of Claremont County or down towards Maysville or Vanceburg, your evening is going off without a hitch. Most of the rain has come to an end. We've got what appears at this point to be a pleasant weekend on tap. We'll talk more about that and your upcoming 7-day forecast in your Fox 19 forecast ahead.
Take a look at this video. A fisherman caught on camera hooking a shark off the coast of, you guessed it, the Outer Banks. This time in Kill Devil Hills. The fisherman threw it back into the water after catching it. Comes as 10 people have been attacked off the coast of both North and South Carolina this year. Experts say warmer water and drought conditions could be connected to the apparent rash of attacks.
For middle school?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, a burglary suspect facing a South Florida judge and got quite a surprise. Belkey's Neary has more on the court date that turned into a very unexpected, albeit emotional reunion.
Hi, Mr. Booth, you're back. This time you're charged with a burglary?
From the classroom to the courtroom.
Okay, Mr. Booth, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go to Nautilus for middle school?
Oh my goodness.
49-year-old Arthur Booth, now a suspected burglar, reuniting with his middle school classmate, Judge Mindy Glazer. Now, decades later, the two have been brought together in the court of law. Booth breaking down in tears during the unexpected reunion.
I'm sorry to see you there. I always wondered what happened to you, sir.
Oh my goodness.
This is the nicest kid in middle school.
Oh my goodness.
On June 29th, Booth was seen leaving the scene of a burglary at Northwest North River Drive and 36th Street in Hialeah. Police say Booth failed to pull over as they tried to conduct a traffic stop. The police report says, quote, Mr. Booth drove his vehicle onto the median and drove onto the oncoming traffic lanes. Mr. Booth then bailed from his vehicle, end quote. In bond court, Judge Glazer says Booth's alleged behavior was not the childhood classmate she remembers.
He was the best kid in middle school. I used to play football with him, all the kids, and look what has happened. I am so sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Mr. Booth, I hope you were able to change your ways. Good luck to you.
Oh my goodness.
And as Booth continues to cry, Judge Glazer delivers a message she hopes will help turn his life around.
What's sad is how old we've become.
Oh my goodness.
Good luck to you, sir. I hope you're able to come out of this okay and just lead a lawful life.
His bond set at $43,000 on a handful of charges. 4th of July means families coming together, cookouts, and of course, fireworks. But for some, the loud cracks and booms, they're tough to deal with. Fox 19 Now's Lisa Hudson spent some time with a local veteran, and tonight she brings us his story.
It's a symbol of our patriotism, but ironically can be miserable for our patriots. When you hear that sudden burst,
yeah.
What do you think of whenever you hear that? that comes from a firework or any kind of backfire or anything like that?
Looking for my gun, essentially.
Marine Corps veteran Jonathan Stone suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder, and though he's trying to live a civilian life with his son, it's the 4th of July that takes him to a much different place.
I think if you asked a lot of veterans and they were kind of honest, they would say it bothers them, or they have to gut it out, or, you know, or have to struggle through, well, I used to like fireworks, or they used to mean fun before I saw people getting blown up.
They hear a sound that they associate with a traumatic event in their life. It triggers the event over for them.
Buck Clay runs a nonprofit organization for veterans like himself and says PTSD is common in men and women returning from Iraq and Afghanistan.
You've got that person, you run them through the gambit, you bring them home. Not everybody can handle that well.
As for Jonathan, he says he isn't asking anyone to stop enjoying the holiday, only hoping to make others aware that for some veterans, fireworks mean something much different.
We don't like to complain, you know, and we fight for people's freedom to do that. So.
Once again, Lisa Hudson reporting. Meanwhile, during tomorrow night's Reds game against the Brewers, local veteran Clint Goethe will be awarded the Purple Heart and throwing out the first pitch. Of course, we thank him and all our veterans for service. Tomorrow's game begins at 7:15. Again, let's head outside. A live look at Great American from across the river. And Jeff, tomorrow a big day for folks. Sunday too, really. How are we looking?
I think we're looking pretty good. You know, models have cleared the atmosphere out. It looks like we've got a dry weekend on tap. We're trying to get rid of the rain tonight, although we do have a few sprinkles out there and a little bit of rain to the far southeast. But for the most part, the fireworks displays that we're seeing for just about everybody that's going off this evening are going off without a hitch. Nice breeze out there, clearing some of that smoke out of the way so you can see the pyrotechnic displays. 70 right now on the JakeSweeney.com Kia Cam along Burlington Pike down in Florence. Your weather breakdown, we've got slow clearing going on overnight as high pressure, weak high pressure tries to build in. Saturday right now looks partly cloudy. Sunday looks comfortable. We do, however, have some showers and storms back in the forecast. We'll talk about that in your extended forecast. And it seems like it's been awfully wet. So for rainfall, where do we stand? We were below for the month of January and for February. For March and April, we were both above. Both of those months were above average. For May and June, May was 3.3 inches below average. June was 3.3 above average. Those two are a wash. So far this month, we're 1.35. We're only 3 days into the month, and we're already 1.35 inches of rain above average. We're a little more than 3 inches of rain over for the year. So if it seems like it's been a little wet, yeah, you're absolutely right. 70 right now at Lunken, 71 in Florence. Wilmington checking in at 66. Batavia, you're looking at 68. Overnight into tomorrow morning, temperatures down to about 63 or so, back into the low 70s as we get into that 10 o'clock hour, and then by tomorrow afternoon, low 80s. Here's Doppler radar. I've seen a few sprinkles pop up in central portions of Clermont County, working into the panhandle of Brown County, but right now, really the only rain to speak of around Vanceburg and Tollsboro, moving out of Mason County. You've seen a little bit of shower activity. This continues to work off toward the east. Once that's out of here, I think everybody has a dry evening. Satellite and radar summary. Upper level low been traversing the area. Front sitting just to the south has been a focus for showers and thunderstorms. A lot of rain through central Kentucky, but as high pressure builds in, should force that to the south and keep that focus a little further to the south and away from our area for the weekend. So let's walk you through this. This model doing a nice job. Got the rain down to the south and east. We throw this into motion overnight into tomorrow morning. We're quiet. And I think as we go through the daytime tomorrow, we're quiet as well. We'll call it partly cloudy. Overnight Saturday into Sunday, once again, no problems, a few high thin clouds. And as we go through the daytime on Sunday, more sunshine. In fact, we'll start the week on a nice note as well. Now, when you wake up tomorrow morning, we're going to see temperatures anywhere from 61 or so in Connorsville to about 65 to 66 as you get off to the south and east where we hang on to a little more cloud cover. And then tomorrow afternoon, temperatures in the low 80s pretty much everywhere. 80 Wilmington, 83 or so in Warsaw. Nice looking day. And you look at the extended forecast, and we'll keep those temperatures for the most part a little bit below average. If you're headed to the Reds game tomorrow, I don't see any problems at all. In fact, that first pitch temperature right around 79 as we get into 11 o'clock tomorrow evening We're 10 less than that, right around 69 degrees. Sunday looks pleasant as well, 82. Mid-80s to start your week. We're nice on Monday, and then we bring those showers and thunderstorms back into the forecast with some temperatures just a little bit below average. If you'd like to track this on your own, the Fox 19 Weather Now app is radar, forecast, current conditions, and a video forecast, all available in the palm of your hand. Download that today and stay connected to the Fox 19 Weather Now Weather Center.
Three tri-state beaches now under a health advisory for E. coli. We're going to tell you which ones. And if you don't have tickets to any of the All-Star activities, you're still in luck. Find out how you can keep your eye on the ball outside Great American. We are back with breaking news tonight out of Anderson Township. Crews on their way to Gungadin Drive. There are reports of a 3-year-old who ate a marijuana-laced cookie. No word on the condition of that child right now. We will, of course, bring you the latest just as soon as we can. New overtime rules sound like a good deal, right? But Simply Money's Nathan Backrack did a little digging into what could happen to your paycheck.
New laws about who's going to get overtime could go into effect early next year, but the change may not mean that you're getting a bigger paycheck. It used to be that the only automatic overtime pay was for people who worked more than 40 hours a week and earned less than $23,660 a year. Now the Department of Labor wants to bump that overtime threshold to $50,440 a year. So what does that mean for you? Well, one option is that if you make less than that and you work more than 40 hours a week, well, you're going to start getting overtime. But what some employers may choose to do instead is to give you a raise that's just big enough to bump you up over that 50 grand limit. Or the boss could reduce your base pay to offset any overtime that you could be owed. Other employers are just likely to trim workers' hours back so that you don't clock more than 40 hours a week. Here's a Simply Money point. This may not sound fair, but legally, the feds can't tell private employers how much to pay their workers as long as they're paying them at least minimum wage. For Fox 19 Now and Simply Money, I'm Nathan Backrack.
Do you have a Simply Money question? If so, go to our website at fox19now.com and click on the Simply Money link. Today, Great American Ballpark getting a couple more renovations just in time for the All-Star game. If you won't be able to get inside for the big game or for the Home Run Derby, don't worry about it. Reds working on a new video board outside of the stadium. It sits right above the Reds Hall of Fame and Museum. At tonight's game, the team will officially turn on the new video board, which sits near right field. The new All-Star mural is now up as well. You can find it on the backside of the ballpark near Broadway Street. The Reds replacing the old image of bats. They've got a new Redlegs themed mural. How about that? After the break, find out which local beaches may not be safe for swimming this holiday weekend. And the very latest on the Cincinnati train that derailed in Tennessee. These stories and much more next. In Tennessee tonight, the mandatory evacuation for nearly 5,000 residents has been lifted after a CSX train from Cincinnati derailed in Maryville. That train, carrying flammable and toxic materials, was bound for Georgia. Investigators still looking into exactly what caused it to run off the tracks. The company says it's working with federal and state environmental officials to plan the removal of soil affected by Thursday's tank car fire and a portion of the chemical on board. Nearly a third of Ohio's beaches are under health advisories after tests yielded high levels of E. coli bacteria. And yeah, that can sicken swimmers. 3 of them right here at home. Cedar Creek, Cowan Lake, and Houston Woods, all included in that advisory tonight. Something officials want you to be aware of this holiday weekend. Children, the elderly, and those with a weakened immune system are urged to stay out of the water. As we kick off the holiday weekend, you can count on very busy roads. AAA releasing their annual report and predicting that 1.7 million Ohioans will make a trip to celebrate the holiday. Buckeye State far from alone. Nearly a third of all Americans will make a trip this weekend. Of course, with all these people traveling, it is expected to be the busiest weekend on the roads in 8 years. Experts urging drivers to make sure that your car is ready and prepped to avoid any possible problems.
It's a really good idea to make sure you have those basic maintenance items taken care of. Around the country for the 4th of July holiday weekend last year, there were more than 300,000 people that were stranded.
If you're wondering, the national average for a gallon of regular gas, $2.77. Last year at this time, it was $3.66. A major deal struck in the health insurance industry today as Aetna announced it's purchasing Humana for $37 billion. The new company will have more than 33 million members, bringing annual revenues of an estimated $115 billion. Based out of Louisville, Humana's impact on the regional economy is huge, with public officials in the city talking about the future. Before the deal goes through, though, it's got to be approved by regulators as well as shareholders. All right, so let's be honest, the summer has not been spectacular. It is an important holiday weekend, Jeff Creighton, for many of us, and you've got some pretty darn good news.
I do have some pretty darn good news. You know, we're only 3 days into July. We're a little bit over on rainfall just for the first 3 days, but it looks like the weekend things are going to lighten up. We do have a few sprinkles out there and a little light rain well off to the south and east, but this looks like it's about it. I'm talking about a dry weekend and a dry start to the upcoming week, but there is more rain in the forecast. We'll talk about it in your 7-day forecast ahead.
Fox 19 Weather Now is sponsored by Toyota. Let's go places.
Welcome back, 10:36, off to Florence we go. More fireworks. Florence dry this evening. Nice breeze, too. You can see that breeze blowing that smoke away from the pyrotechnics. Nice, almost perfect viewing tonight. Temperatures are in the low 70s, pretty much area-wide. It's not too humid, and the weekend right now shaping up to be pretty nice. Right now at the Cincinnati Northern Kentucky International Airport, we're 72 degrees. Notice that dew point still in the low to mid 60s, but we'll see that drop a little bit, so the weekend will be a bit more comfortable. By tomorrow morning, we'll drop down to about 63, and I think the rain pretty much ending for just about everybody. By midnight, it should be done, and then by tomorrow afternoon, we're dry. We're looking at 81 as we get into that 4 o'clock hour. Satellite and radar summary showing a lot of rain across central Kentucky. When we zoom in, not an awful lot to look at. A few sprinkles across portions of Claremont County in through the panhandle of Brown County, around Sterling, just to the south of Fayetteville, Batavia in through Williamsburg, and then some showers around Tollsboro, Kinnickinnick, and in through Vanceburg. All of this moving out, so I think we're going to get rid of the rainfall overnight, and here we go into tomorrow morning. There's 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, partly cloudy. I think a good deal of sun for your daytime on Saturday as well. Overnight Saturday into Sunday, once again, no problem, and more sunshine, I think, for your Sunday. So right now, the weekend looking dry. What can we expect for the upcoming work week? I think we start it dry as well. Partly cloudy skies, a little warmer, 85. We're 81 and 82 for your 4th of July and your 5th of July. As we get into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we bring those chances for showers and thunderstorms back. Really the best chance at this point looks to be Tuesday. And if you're headed to the Reds game, I don't think there's any problems. That first pitch temperature tomorrow, right around 79 degrees at that 7:15 start. By 11 o'clock when that game's letting out, we're about 10 degrees cooler than that, 69 degrees. Nice looking weekend for baseball. Nice looking weekend for the 4th of July. And we're back after this.
I hate to say Cincinnati deserves anything, but we deserve a perfect day on July 14th. Are we going to get it?
On the 14th?
Yes.
Don't put me on the spot, man. We're 12 days away from
Come on. All right.
We're keeping everything crossed.
Final quarters next.
So overheard in the sports department tonight, Megatoad is Joey Chestnut's main competition in tomorrow's hot dog eating contest. Can't wait to watch a toad binge eat on national TV. Happy 4th, everyone.
That wasn't even a tease. Up next in the final quarter, let's binge on local sports.
There's the tease.
Reds turn on their new ballpark toy. Did they turn up on the Brewers?
Todd Frazier, the agonizing wait to see if he starts, what he heard at Target that he told us.
And Team USA, one win from the World Cup title. We ask our experts if USA gets the WIN. It's all next in the final quarter.